Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll. Before he died, he left a lasting mark on music and charity. Throughout his life, he kept his privacy very safe by spending most of his time with a small group of trusted friends. His security, who is now 81 years old and has been dead for more than 40 years, has finally come forward to tell the truth about long-sought secrets. Could this shocking new information add to the already long story of Elvis? Watch this video to find out. Elvis Presley's bodyguard, who is 81 years old, finally confirms the rumors. Sonny West, whose real name was West Delbert Brian West Jr., was Elvis Presley's bodyguard, close friend, and trusted confidant. He and his cousin Red West worked for Elvis for 16 years. Sonny was a regular at Elvis's home in Graceland with Elvis's close friends and family, who were also known as the Memphis Mafia. Elvis made me mad a few times. I'm really upset. He did make me laugh most of the time, though. One thing never changed, though. The music. There was music all the time, no matter what. And when I think about him, which is pretty much every day, his kindness is always the first thing that comes to mind. People have wondered about the stories for a long time. They said that Elvis might be more than just a star, more than just the man on stage and screen. They questioned whether he really had a kind heart. If the kindness that was talked about behind closed doors was real. I can finally say yes now that I'm 81. What people said was true. There is a story that shows this. I've had this one my whole life. Even now, that story still makes me feel very sad. The kind that will always be remembered, like those old family stories about a brave act or a single moment that changes everything. That moment for me was the first time I saw Elvis show a side of himself that no one else saw. The commercial appeal, the Memphis newspaper, ran a story about a small woman who was born without legs from the hips down. This was the start of a very quiet morning. Even though she had problems, she had kids, raised them, and was now helping to raise her grandchildren. She moved around on a wooden board that had roller skates attached to the bottom of it. She moved around by pulling herself across the floor with a pair of padded sticks that looked like ski poles. We thought about that picture of her, of how strong and determined she looked. Marty Lacer, who was always aware of what was important, read the story and brought the paper up to the house. It was quiet in the morning. Elvis and a few of us were at the dining room table going about our normal day. He slid the paper across the table and said, "Read this when you have time." Elvis nodded, finished his meal, and then picked it up. The room was quiet while he read. Not a sound. He didn't say anything. But when he looked up, his voice was calm and sure. There was no doubt in it at all. Find out where she lives. In order to make it happen, Marty called the newspaper on the phone. Elvis acted right away and bought the most expensive electric wheelchair that was on the market. There was no need to argue or go back and forth. He knew what to do all along. A few of us went with him. Alan, Richard, Billy, Priscilla, and me. We drove to her house after putting the wheelchair in the car. We carefully carried it to the front door when we got there. Her husband answered. He used to work on the railway and made us feel welcome. He called her name, and soon we heard her walking through the house. It was clean inside and out. There was a bright white carpet, and the linoleum floors in the kitchen were as smooth as glass. Everywhere you looked, pride was spoken of. Then she showed up, and she let out a gasp when she saw the wheelchair. She whispered, oh my," and tears came right away. She didn't need to ask. She knew. It was clear to her. It was for her. Her tears came quickly, and so did ours. We gently picked her up, Elvis on one side and me on the other, and put her in the chair. The fabric, the armrests, and the controls were all touched. She moved her hands slowly and with respect. After that, there was a holy moment between us in that quiet room. The chair was strange, but it was very important. It wasn't just moving around. It had to do with respect. It gave people freedom. It gave me hope. There was not a big news story. No, not from the Elvis Presley label. It's just the truth. She owned the chair. It was sent by someone who cared. She kept crying. And neither did ours. It was too much to handle. How pure the moment was and how much it meant. We had to go. It was too much to say. Alan said in a quiet voice what we were all thinking outside. She might not even know who he is. It didn't matter, though, because she didn't need to know about King Elvis. It was enough for her to know this. Someone saw her. Someone was interested. And that person changed her life without any cameras or people around. Now, after all these years, I finally say it out loud. It's true what they said. Elvis was more than just a story. I saw with my own eyes that he gave without expecting anything in return. After hearing from Elvis Presley's bodyguard about how kind he was, let's look into his charitable impact in more depth. People's lives were changed by Elvis Presley's kindness. The kindness of Elvis Presley is something that many people are very grateful for. Still, not many people really understand how generous he was throughout his life. Through his donations of thousands of dollars, he helped charities, non-profits, and people who needed help. From the beginning of his work, he made it a point to give back, and that commitment became his legacy. One time this happened was when Elvis bought the USS Toac and gave it to St. Jude Children's Hospital in Memphis. The hospital later sold it as a fundraiser to help with its work. Elvis was known for being kind even when he was just starting out. He gave toys to a marine drive that helped kids. He also gave $1.50 to Humes High School so that all 1,400 students could go to the annual football game for blind people in honor of Irump. During his time in Germany in 1959, he also did a kind thing by giving blood to the German Red Cross at the Vorderm base in Friedberg. Elvis never forgot where he came from, and he always supported his hometown. He went back to Tupelo, Mississippi, in 1956 and 1957 to play benefit concerts that raised money for a park and youth center. He also helped people when bad things happened. In January 1975, a terrible tornado hit Mississippi, and Elvis helped put together and perform at a benefit concert in May of that year. At this important event, he gave Mississippi Governor Bill Waller a check for more than $100,000 to help the city heal. Elvis's desire to help people spread even more across the country. He held a benefit event in 1961 to raise money for the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor. The concert raised more than $65,000 for the cause. In 1973, he showed how kind he was again by giving all the money from his famous Aloha from Hawaii satellite concert to the Koi Lee Cancer Fund. This helped bring attention to cancer research and raise money for it. What might have happened that Elvis Presley's bodyguard would talk now, after all these years? Keep listening to find out. This is the story that no one has told about why Elvis's security were fired. In July 1976, Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, fired Red, Sonny West, Dave Hebler, and everyone else who worked as bodyguards for Elvis. Elvis and Red had been friends since high school, and their friendship had grown stronger over time. In 1955, he became a trusted member of Elvis's close circle and was hired as both his driver and bodyguard. Elvis met Sonny, Red's cousin, in early 1958. Sonny started working for Elvis in 1960, after Elvis came back to fame after 2 years in the U.S. Army. When Hebler met Elvis for the first time in 1972, he was hired as part of the security team. It's still not clear why they were fired, with different people giving different reasons. Elvis and his father both said that the decision was made to save money on payroll costs. But some people, including people close to Elvis, thought there was a deeper reason. That Red, Sonny, and Hebler were some of the few people who were brave enough to talk to Elvis about how much he was using illegal drugs. According to another reason, their security measures sometimes hurt fans, which led to cases against Elvis, which he could no longer afford to risk. In the past, Elvis would sometimes fire people close to him, only to hire them again later when things calmed down. A lot of people also knew that Vernon Presley didn't like most of the men in his son's close-knit group of friends. Many people close to Elvis thought that Vernon would have done everything he could to keep Elvis from hiring them again. After being fired, the three men chose to write a book in which they talked about their time with Elvis. They said their goal wasn't money or getting even. According to them, the book was an attempt to step in and help Elvis face the truth about his unhealthy lifestyle before it was too late. They hired Steve Dunleavy, who wrote a gossip column for the National Star and later became a reporter for a current events show, to help them write and sell the book. Elvis was very angry when he heard about the plan. He hoped that either the three men would change their minds or that Colonel Tom Parker, his boss, could find a way to stop it from being out there. Behind the scenes looks at Elvis's personal life through the eyes of Red, Sonny, and Hebler were in the book. It talked about his personal life, dealing with drugs, his music business, and his relationships with the three men. A lot of the names in the book were changed to keep people's privacy. But this made some readers wonder if the people and events he wrote about were real. On the other hand, writer Alan Hansen later pointed out that after Elvis's death, the book Elvis, What Happened? Right away gained credibility. The title asked the same question that everyone had at the time. As more of Elvis's former friends came forward in the years that followed, some of the book's claims were proven true, but not all of them. What goes on at Elvis's home is the only private place he has, and what goes on there should stay private, said Jerry Schilling, one of Elvis's closest friends, about the book. How famous was Elvis Presley before his bodyguard told everyone about him? Who is Elvis Presley? Check back to find out. How Elvis Presley became famous. From nothing to a worldwide star. It was during the Great Depression when Elvis was born in a small house in Tupelo, Mississippi. Vernon and Gladys Presley, his parents, had a hard time with money, but they were very religious and went to church every week. Elvis heard religious music for the first time in this church. It would later influence his style of music. His family didn't have much money, but music was always a big part of their lives. Elvis's love for music began when he was 11 years old and got his first guitar. Even though he didn't take lessons, he showed off his growing ability at local talent shows. In search of better opportunities, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, when the child was 13. People knew Elvis as a shy but talented musician who went to Humes High School. He brought his guitar to school and played for his friends during lunch breaks. They loved how good he was. Blues, gospel, and rhythm and blues were the most popular types of African American music in Memphis. Elvis spent time in music stores and saw shows that helped shape his unique sound. Elvis cut "That's All Right" at Sun Studio in 1954, and he paid for the session himself. This was his first single. Sun Records owner Sam Phillips quickly saw that Elvis's unique mix of musical styles could make him popular with both black and white people. When Elvis's career took off, he became famous for his electrifying stage presence and image of being a rebel. Hits like "Heartbreak Hotel," "Hound Dog," and "Don't Be Cruel" cemented his place in music history. He became a leading figure in the rock and roll scene as his fame grew. Because Elvis's stage performances were often risky and controversial, people called him Elvis the Pelvis, which made him even more popular. With the '68 comeback special in 1968, Elvis went back to performing live, which was a big turning point in his career. After working on films for years, the special with intimate performances helped him become known again as a serious musician. Compared to the flashy shows he did early in his career, his performances became more simple and true to who he was. In 1973, Elvis's "Aloha from Hawaii" show was live-streamed around the world via satellite, making him even more famous around the world. This concert was a turning point in his career. It showed how far he had come and how his performances had changed over time. Over time, his concerts became more commercialized, focused on showmanship and fan favorites over new music. He was a pioneering force in music, though, and his influence lives on through generations of fans. Elvis will always be known as the "King of Rock and Roll" because he was able to keep up with changing music styles while keeping true to his roots. Even after he died in 1977, his popularity grew, and people all over the world still loved his music. Aside from his work, did Elvis Presley ever find true love? If so, did it make him happy? Check back to find out. The touching story of Elvis Presley's first love, Dixie Lock Catch, and the early years of his relationship life. Many people would say that Elvis Presley and Dixie Lock Emmons had a pure connection because it was so real and special. Years passed before Elvis became known as the King of Rock and Roll. Their love was simple, real, and full of hope at first. But as Elvis's fame grew, it got harder for them to stay together. Their love was a big part of Elvis's early life and continued to have a big impact on him in many ways, even though his rising fame caused some problems. They met for the first time at the First Assembly of God Church in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1953. Elvis and his family had just moved there from Tupelo. Being told that the popular Southern gospel group the Blackwood Brothers went to the church made Elvis and his family start going there. Elvis was 19 years old, and Dixie was only 15. The shy young man saw her and was interested in her too, even though he was shy at the time. Dixie planned a fun activity with her friends to go roller skating to get his attention. She made sure Elvis heard about their plans. At that point, Elvis was well known, and Dixie, a pretty girl from the area, felt attracted to him. She couldn't stay away from him because of his growing fame, unique style, and good looks. Elvis quickly made an impression on everyone, even Dixie, with his long hair and charm. They began dating in January 1954, and it was a sweet and easy relationship. Every 3 to 4 nights a week, they would spend time together and enjoy some alone time. Elvis went to Dixie's Southside High School's prom on May 6, 1955, and their friendship grew stronger. As they got to know each other better, they found more things they had in common. Elvis then told Dixie about his family. They treated her like their own daughter and hoped that she and Elvis would get married one day. The thing Dixie liked most about Elvis was how much he loved his mother. He always called her the First Lady of his heart. Their love was simple. They did simple things together, like going to church together, which made Elvis feel safe and secure. They also liked dancing at events in their community. It was their dream to live a quiet life away from the stress of fame. But that dream quickly went away as Elvis's career took off. His fame made him need more time. He had less time for Dixie as his life got busier. Their love was still an important support for Elvis, and Dixie's words of support kept him grounded. She made him think of his roots and the things that were important to him. Their relationship got worse as Elvis's fame grew, though. His fan base grew as he went on more trips. He wrote Dixie love letters while he was on tour, but she started to notice that he was acting differently. As Elvis changed his look, he dyed his hair black and wore clothes that stood out more. This made his female fans love him even more. His new look made him even more appealing. During this time, Elvis met other women who were interested in him, such as Wanda Jackson and June Carter. He told Dixie that he loved her, but what he did was different. Elvis started to flirt with other women and would sometimes kiss them behind the scenes. He found it hard to stay focused on Dixie because these women were drawing his attention away from her. As his fame grew, so did the distance between them, and their relationship got worse. Even though they had a history together, Elvis's rising fame and the temptations that came with it eventually tore them apart. Elvis and Dixie broke up on good terms, which marked the end of an important part of their lives for both of them. Dixie said she never stopped loving Elvis, even after they broke up. She watched his work from afar and told him that as her first love, he would always have a special place in her heart. She still loves thinking about the times they spent together. Too often, Elvis thought about his time with Dixie and how easy life was back then. Their love story shows how important a first love can be. Dixie got married to someone else and had kids after they broke up. After that, Elvis married Priscilla Presley, and the two of them had a daughter. Elvis finally found love with Priscilla, and they got married, despite all of his fame and the stories people told about him. Did he keep his problems from you? Which ones were they, and was he able to get past them? How hard things were for Elvis Presley. In the years before he died, Elvis Presley had a lot of health problems. Many people think that his addiction to drugs and alcohol caused his health to get worse. Author and writer Elena Hodel, on the other hand, thinks there's more to the story than what most people think. Hodel said that Elvis didn't die of an overdose like a lot of people think. He died because of a problem with his heart. She said that many people in Elvis's family had the same health issues. His mother passed away at age 46 after her health had been getting worse for 4 years. He also had 3 uncles on his mom's side who died at 46, 49, and 58 years old from liver and heart problems, she said. Hodel says that Elvis's health problems and his untimely death were both caused by a bigger problem in his family that was passed down. Many people think that Elvis's bad health was due to the way he lived, which is partly true, she said. But the truth is that he couldn't change a lot of the things that were making his health worse. Elvis's health problems were caused by more than just his fame. Hodel said that Elvis's health was bad in 9 of the body's 11 main systems. This man had at least 5 of these issues before he became popular, and they were most likely caused by his genes. She said that these illnesses weren't caused by the stress of his fame or his problems with prescription drugs. In fact, he often tried to deal with these long-term health problems by self-medicating. As Elvis's last year got closer, his health kept getting worse. Hood said that he didn't feel well in the last year of his life, so he spent a lot more time in his bedroom at Graceland between tours. Besides being good for his health, Elvis's time away from the public eye while he served in the military for 2 years had a big effect on him. Hodel said that Elvis was very worried while he was in the U.S. Army from 1958 to 1960. Hodel said that he was drafted when he was very popular and worried that people would forget about him while he was serving his country. When Elvis came back to the public eye after being in the military, it was a big deal. He was still very popular when he came back with the special on Frank Sinatra, Hodel said. He quickly made a string of hit films after that. Even though he had a lot of success after coming back, Elvis decided to stop acting in movies and focus on music again, which was his first love. Hodel said, Elvis always knew he was going to come back to live shows. He loved being Elvis Presley, so it was a natural part of his job. Even though his career was going well, Elvis had a lot of emotional problems because of all the attention he got from being famous. His ties with family and romantic partners were especially hard to handle because of his fame. Because he was so well known, it was hard for him to keep any privacy, which put extra stress on his personal life. Elvis was worn out by the weight of his fame, especially since he was so young. Hodel said that it was very hard for him to balance his public and private lives. The constant attention made him feel alone, and he often had problems with loneliness because he didn't feel linked to other people. According to Hodel, Elvis felt misunderstood and alone because he was always being watched. His relationships with women got tense because of Elvis's fame. People's never-ending interest in his personal life put a lot of stress on him and those closest to him. As time went on, being in the public eye caused stress and tension, and many of Elvis's relationships ended because the people involved couldn't handle the stress. Fame came with a lot of problems that made it hard for Elvis to trust the people around him. Is the people in his life really interested in him as a person, or are they just interested in his fame? He had trouble making deep, meaningful connections with other people because he didn't trust them, which made him feel even more alone. Elvis had a small group of close friends that he trusted to help him deal with the stresses of fame and personal problems. These friends included members of the Memphis Mafia and his lovers. But his constant need for privacy and safety from the public made things more tense, which made it harder for him to keep his personal life stable and peaceful. Elvis Presley's life shows how hard it is to deal with the stresses of fame while also trying to keep up personal ties. The intense attention that comes with being one of the most famous people in the world can weigh heavily on every part of one's life. His experiences show how hard it can be to balance a public image with private needs. Could his problems have been what brought him down? Or did he get past them? Keep listening to find out. The Last Days and Impact of Elvis Presley. The sad news is that Elvis Presley died of a heart attack on August 16, 1977. The New York Times reported that the first results of his autopsy showed that cardiac arrhythmia, a condition that makes the heart beat unevenly and inefficiently, was the cause of his death. The Shelby County coroner who did the autopsy, Dr. Jerry Francisco, spent 2 hours carefully looking over Elvis's body. At first, it wasn't clear what caused the arrhythmia, which led many people to think that Elvis may have died from an overdose. Reports that 10 different prescription drugs were found in his body at the time of his death gave this theory more support. But in October, the New York Times made it clear that drugs were not the main reason Elvis died. Even though prescription drugs were found in his body, hypertensive heart disease and coronary artery heart disease were the official causes of death. These conclusions were made clear in Dr. Francisco's official report. Dr. George Nicopolos, Elvis's personal doctor and longtime friend, told the New York Times that he didn't think Elvis had a serious drug problem, even though he did admit that Elvis had abused drugs by accident over time. There were many health issues that Elvis had in the years before he died. Over the course of 5 years, he was hospitalized 4 times for problems linked to high blood pressure and problems with an impacted colon. In addition, he had mild diabetes and trouble with his liver. Even after the coroner's report, rumors about drugs being involved in Elvis's death kept going around. Family members and close friends were honest about his ongoing problems with prescription drugs. David E. Stanley, who was Elvis's stepbrother and wrote Bodyguard, wrote a frank book about the event in 2016 called My Brother Elvis, The Final Years. Stanley said that he often felt like he was babysitting instead of working. He was so upset that he said, "I felt more like a nursing home aide." According to an interview with People in 1989, Stanley admitted that he didn't fully understand Elvis's addiction and felt helpless. He said, "I had this naive belief that Elvis could do anything, even overcome a prescription substance addiction." His fiancée, Ginger Alden, found him asleep at his famous Graceland home in Memphis, Tennessee, on the day he died. He was found lying on the bathroom floor in his master bedroom, a place he thought was holy and would only let his closest friends and family in. Graceland, which had 18 rooms and was worth $1 million, was where Elvis could get away from the stress of being famous. He could get away from the constant attention at this private retreat. Graceland has had millions of tourists since it first opened to the public in 1982. The second floor of the mansion, on the other hand, is still locked up because the family wants to keep their privacy. The Jungle Room, which was later turned into a recording studio, and the kitchen, where Elvis often made his famous peanut butter and banana sandwiches, are just a few of the unique features that make the estate famous. People can also look around the meditation garden, which is a peaceful place where Elvis is buried with other family members, solidifying his place in both the public and private histories of the man. What do you think about the things Elvis Presley's guardian said? Do you think Elvis really lived a happy life before he died so tragically? Leave a comment below and let us know. Thanks for seeing this video. We hope it was interesting for you. Remember to like and subscribe. You can watch the next movie on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity news. I'll see you there.